All right. Nick, how are you today, sir?
Good. How you doing?
Good. All right. Well, welcome, Shift Nation. So we've got Nick Davidson joining us today. Excited to have everybody here. So just so we can get an idea of where everyone's at, if you just want to put in the comments where you're watching from today before this long weekend. I'm guessing some of you might already have started that. So for those that are taking some time with us, but I'm super excited to share this time with Nick and learn a bit about what he's been up to. So make sure you ask questions, comments throughout. We're glad to have everybody here watching. So Nick, you and I have communicated a lot over the last couple of months, so I've gotten to know you pretty well. So I'm excited to have that opportunity to share, what you've been up to and what you're doing, out there. So the first thing, if you could just give us a little background on yourself, how did you get into the business, where you're based, what you've been up to, pre us connecting, through Advisorist.
Sure. Yeah. So I've been in the business now for about 14 years. Originally got in it just, trying out a new job and was just kind of doing the sales stuff, and then did various roles into management, moved on to own my own property and casualty multi-line agency for 6+ years with Farm Bureau. And then I made the shift over to the financial advisor world about 5 years ago. And throughout that time, I was trying to kind of figure out where I belonged in the business, right? And really developed a passion for the advisory part of it. And over the last couple of years, I was really starting to kind of think where a lot of people are, that your business is working, you're making money, but it's not getting to the level where you wanted it. So I spent about a year jumping on the power hours, the free offerings and things like that Advisorist had before making the jump into the shift program here about 5 months ago now. So that's kind of the background where I am, and I'm located up in Minnesota in Rochester, kind of the home of Mayo Clinic, the Med City as they call it. So that's really my focus is medical professionals. So
great. Well, let's get a little personal here. So give us something, tell Shift Nation a little something about you that maybe I don't know or our team doesn't know about you that might surprise us.
Oh boy, I don't know. I'll go out on a limb here. This comes straight from the topic you wanted me to talk about, just on recent vacation. And sometimes in the evenings, I find myself at karaoke bars.
No way. That's a big share.
Yeah, and the go-to songs are, Gin and Juice and Warren G Regulators. So
please tell me that video you can share with us.
I have video. I don't know if it should be shared though.
All right. Well, just do me a favor. I got to see it at least. Especially Regulators. I love that.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. Now we're all comfortable with each other here. So
yeah.
Well, cool. So Nick, I know, you got some awesome stuff you're into. We'll kind of get into it, but like you said, you had this kind of journey that you were on, through the financial services industry. At some point you came in contact with advisors. What was that initial contact like?
So the initial, I think it was, I had jumped on a webinar that you guys were doing with NAFA probably a year and a half ago. That's my first kind of exposure to Advisorist. And then I just kind of followed the virtual power hours for about 9 months prior to joining. So.
Right, and that's that's something else. Some of the other people we've showcased in this before have in common with you, right? We're already kind of implementing some of the free strategies we're teaching on Power, already doing some of those things, starting to see a little bit of success with them. So that's great. So at some point you jumped on that webinar, and I know, and interestingly enough, so you were the last person I ever had interaction with on the sales side when you came on board. You and I were talking. I think you're the last person I ever brought on board for the program before I moved, strictly to the head coaching role here and running the program. So tell us a little bit about just what that was like. So we had the course, you kind of learned a little bit about what we were doing, and I know from experience you were kind of wondering, whether or not to take the step.
Yeah, so I had spent, I had identified LinkedIn as a valuable source of prospects over the last several years, and I had kind of struggled on my own, the ups and downs and the trials and tribulations of trying to figure stuff out on my own. What I was doing was starting to work, but I wasn't able to bring it to scale. So basically, What it was is that I thought I was doing a good job. My company actually had me doing trainings with our advisors on how to do LinkedIn. But then when I had the conversation with you, Chris, and you basically said, we're going to do 100 of these a day, I was like, well, I can't even get 100 done in a week. So it was more of, if we can do this, sign me up for the program. And it's just basically just taken off from there. So
talk to us a little bit about the struggle, maybe as you were going through that, because many people watching this had a similar struggle of, all right, COVID hit and things changed, right? The normal way of doing things, getting out, meeting people, having discussions, the face-to-face, the networking, all those things changed. What was that like for you, and ultimately coming into that position where you're like, all right, I got to do something. LinkedIn looks like the place to go.
Yeah, so I think it's a common knowledge in our industry that the entire industry is changing and going to more of a virtual environment. But admittedly, I was one of the people that was very hesitant to make that change. I'm the type of guy that wants to sit down across the table from you, shake your hand, look you in the eye. So this whole closing business and meeting people virtually was very foreign to me, and I resisted it quite a bit. And then, like you said, COVID hit, and then that was really our only option. So what we saw is even our clients that would have normally been resistant to that were forced into that appointment setting, and it's just become commonplace. And it's more convenient, not only for me, but it seems that especially the clients I'm working with, medical professionals, that their time is very, very limited. So if you can get on a call and do that rather than having them drive to your office or try and find something in the evening where you can meet up, it's made all the difference in the world. So admittedly, I struggled through the first few appointments I had. I probably looked like a complete idiot or sounded like one, but it's come to the point where now it's, I'm more comfortable, talking into a camera than maybe I am face to face now. So it's just completely flipped my entire world, and it's transformed my business.
Right. I want to dig deeper into all of that, because you said a lot of things there that are important, and based on our previous discussions, I think there's a lot there that the viewers can glean from what you're saying. But that resistance to go virtual, what does that mean for you now? Because I know you're virtual, right? We're going to talk deeper about that. What has that meant for you from your practice standpoint, but also just from a personal standpoint?
Yeah, from a personal standpoint, before going virtual, I was in a situation where I was a lot of other advisors, getting up early in the morning, getting some stuff done, getting the kids off to school, going to work, going home, doing the kids' activities, and then going back on to do catch up things during the day, or that I missed during the day or the evening. And I was doing that late into the evening. So what going virtual has done for me is given back a lot of time for me personally, that there's a lot of stuff that I was doing manually before that's all happening while I'm sitting on the beach or at the hockey rink or wherever I am, that all of those things are continuing to happen for me. So I don't have to go back home and do work. It's basically when I go home for the day, I'm done for the day, and everything continues to work for me.
Right. That's awesome. Great. All right. So let's get back to, all right. So, you sat in the masterclass. You and I had a discussion afterwards, and for a couple of weeks after we kind of there. So you were kind of on the fence, right? There were some things you were considering. What was that struggle like for you? And where were you, maybe for someone else that's out there watching in their own person, all right, where do I put my time, effort, and resources into?
Yeah. So like you said, I was on the fence for a little bit. And I think the biggest thing that, was holding me back was, just committing to, pulling the trigger on the cost of the program and whether it was going to be worth it. Because you hear all the horror stories about all the programs that are the fly-by-night programs, if you will, that people spend a ton of money on, and they make all these promises, and you go spend that money, and then they're nowhere to be found. But then it was just a matter of, I said, this is something I really got to do. I'd spent a lot of time following you guys. You have a good reputation in the industry, and I pulled the trigger, and it's just been nothing but positive ever since. And I wish I would have done it sooner now.
Great. That's good to hear, Nick. I know you're killing it. So let's get into the good stuff now. I think there's everyone listening, watching, there's so many nuggets in here. I know we have a short amount of time. I want to go real deep into them, but there's so many things that I think we teach and preach at Advisors, and advisors get pieces of it. I think you managed to put together a lot of it. Number one, tell everybody you joined. I think you joined the last day. We had an offer going. I think you just join like December 31st or like the 30th, right? Like just right before the end of the year.
Black Friday special, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I might have held it a little open, a little longer for you, but hey. So then tell me the date you launched. I look it up, January 11th. So less than 2 weeks, you launched your first campaign.
Yep.
Again, and I just want to point that out, execution, right? That's what we see with advisors who are super successful in the program, executing. And you did what we would consider a 6-week program, right? And we give people longer to do it in a lot of cases too. But here, you executed in 2 weeks, got it up and running, got it going.
Yeah, and I think.
Yeah, go ahead, Nick. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say I was able to jump into it a little bit quicker too because I had been doing a lot of work on LinkedIn, so I was very familiar with some of the first couple modules. So I was able to kind of fly through those, and then when we got into the meat and potatoes of the profile and the banners and the messaging and all that stuff, that's really where I spent all my time in the program. So.
Yep. So alert. Let's get this out of there. How did you do in the first 30 days?
Good. I closed my first appointments within the first week of doing the program. So I basically made enough money to pay for the program within the first week of launching my first campaign.
It's awesome. It's awesome. And so the other thing I remember from our initial conversation, because that was back in January, we had our initial kind of chat about how's it going. I think you had 10 appointments at the time we talked. I think you moved all 10 of them to that first call, from the first call to the second call. So you
I was able to. Yeah, so I've been able to, I've been very successful on transferring from that initial conversation to the second and third appointments, and I was on a streak there where I was 10 for 10. We dialed that back to about. I went back and kind of tracked the numbers, but we're at about 85% of our initial virtual coffee chats are booking second planning appointments with us.
That's awesome. You're killing it, man. That's tremendous. All right. So I think there's a couple of things just right in there, right? So you said in some conversations we had, you said your response rates are a little lower than our averages, right? And your second appointments went down a little bit. But what have you seen about the quality of prospects that you're getting in front of?
Yeah, and I would say the acceptance rate has probably gone up because I've gone back and tweaked some of the messaging on that initial message that's gone out. So I went from a 25% acceptance rate to my latest campaign is up over 40% for the acceptance rate.
Wow.
But the response rate, I hear from some of the other people in the program that they're getting 8, 10, 12, 15% response rates after that person connects. I'm sitting there right around the 5 or 6% range, but it's pretty much the vast majority of the people that are responding to book appointments. And so I'm not getting a lot of people that are just, trying to, just have a conversation that's not going to be meaningful. So the people that I'm talking to are the people I want to be talking to.
Great. Yeah. All right. I mean, I hope everyone viewing, I hope you're enjoying this. I hope you appreciate, Nick spending some time with here. I mean, I love talking with you. I told you that prior. I always enjoy talking with you. There's always some great stuff we glean from it. So hope everyone's enjoying this. Give Nick some love if you can on the chats here. So the really interesting thing that I want to dive a little bit deeper on is that quality that we're talking about. You're seeing really great quality of appointments. You're getting some really cool opportunities. Is there anything you've done or seen as a result? Because there's a lot of ways to go about it. Why that way? What have you seen as the benefits to your practice overall? And just trying to increase the quality, not the quantity. We'll talk to anybody that's coming around, and that could be detrimental for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, absolutely. So the high quality, I developed my niche, which is accomplished medical professionals. I'm trying to even hone that in even further. But when I'm talking to these people, they have the income that I'm looking for the services that I provide. And it seems that they understand the need for the services that we provide. So when I'm having a conversation with somebody, I'm not sitting there and, having 15, 20, 30-minute conversation with somebody just for them to say, oh yeah, maybe down the road we can chat. The people that I'm talking to have gone in, they've read my profile. There's something in there that made them want to have a discussion with me. And in most cases that comes out right away in that initial appointment of why they wanted to chat with me. And then we just take it from there. So like I said, the vast majority of the people that I'm getting these virtual appointments with are ready to move forward and have a conversation about their planning.
Yeah. So I pulled up your LinkedIn profile. I wanted to jump over here real quick. So we can touch on a couple things on here. Number one, part of our process is really working with you to develop a niche, to really use your profile as an advertisement in exactly what you're talking about. When they come there, they know what you want, they know why you want it. You're very clear about the problems you solve, who you're helping. So right away we see the top banner here with a medical professional. So let's talk briefly about the opportunity you had come up as a result of just your header image that we see here.
Yeah. So I had a few months ago, I actually had somebody reach out to me through a secondary connection on the program, and we kind of got to chatting, and we scheduled a virtual appointment. And what he said is that I get a lot of messages from financial advisors every single day that want to talk about my money and how they can, help me manage my money. But he said, when I logged on to your profile, the first thing I noticed is that there was nothing to do about financial planning on your banner. Well, he said your profile would, after talking to him. He's like, the banner was specific to the medical industry. So I was like, wow, I've never seen that before. So he's like, I clicked on your profile, I read it. It was very intriguing. So I wanted to set up the time to chat with you. And what that turned into was a 15-minute virtual coffee chat, which I got permission to continue the conversation. So I ended up being on the call with him for about a half hour, gave him a 30,000-foot view of the planning that I do. And it turns out that this guy's an anesthesiologist out on the East Coast. He runs a website specifically for career development, career advancement, continuing education for anesthesiologists worldwide. And so then he reached out to me and asked if I could, write an article and basically summarize everything that we had kind of just talked about, and that so he could get it out in their newsletter, on their social media, and on their website. And that came today, and they get about 30,000 hits a month on this website. So this was the featured article that went out just a few weeks ago.
Yeah, thanks for sending this over. I thought this was so cool. I mean, so much here to unpack. So I want to for a moment and then come back to this here. So you gave some real, so I hope everyone's listening, all right? Everyone watching, I hope you're listening to Nick, because anyone that's trying similarly to Nick, right? He received the advice we give on Power Hour, started implementing some things, saw the opportunity on LinkedIn. I want to take you through the process that Nick just talked about, because this is what we see with all of the prospects that come through the program. So Nick, you first had a message that went out to this gentleman that at least caught his attention, right?
Correct.
Something sparked his attention. And this is all stuff we teach in our shift program. The next thing he did is he came to your profile, and the first thing he saw was your banner image, right?
Correct.
And that header image, that banner image is your billboard, right? I'm driving on the highway, I see it for 2 seconds. What does it say? Does it capture my attention? And then he went to your profile, which again is all geared towards medical professionals, tell you when they come to you, how you help them, what you solve, the problems you solve. This is the cycle that a prospect will take on LinkedIn when they come to you. And Nick, I would assume, and I'm sure you would agree, that 99% of your prospects came to you that same way.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. Awesome. So I want to put that out there, because that's a big little insight into how this works, and really, as you're building this out, that's the formula for success and actually starting to convert some of these people that are viewing your profile or viewing a message that you may send them. So use that as you can. Put a quick plug in here. I don't know if Crystal knows. Nick, I don't know if you used that. We did a little tip in our Facebook group about this week. So if you want to check that out, another great tip on how to speak to your prospects. Really interesting stuff. So I'll let you guys check that out. I'll just throw that out there. Now, Nick, back to this for a moment, because there's really some cool things you said here in that as well. So one of the really interesting things that we see is the long-term effects of that LinkedIn marketing. As you said, we're doing it at scale. So you're sending out hundreds of messages, reaching hundreds and thousands of potential prospects in your niche. Those messages live out there, and you start to see like the residuals effect of that. So a couple things I want you to speak on. Number one, you told me you're building a database for future marketing. And
yes.
I anyone that's watching, listen to this, because I think this is, I say this all the time. You need to be the Google, the Facebook of our industry. You need to gather information. So Nick, talk about that and how you see that potentially in the future benefiting you and your practice.
Yeah, so how I'm using the program is that, with Sales Navigator, you get your saved searches, you get your leads, and then you upload it into Advisorlink. And then what we're able to do is download the list of those leads once they're all discovered. So my IT guy just goes right into my system, downloads the file, and imports that into my CRM system. And he can tag all of those imports as they were sourced off of LinkedIn. So, and then I also use that to track where I am in my messaging. If one of these prospects becomes, a client, or we start, we open a case on them, that's all updated in my CRM system. So I'm not duplicating different steps. But what I see is that so far through my campaigns, I think I've added 14,000 names to the list on my campaigns that I've run. Now I have the vast majority of those people's contact information, occupation, all of that information off of that file. We're able to export off of Advisorlink. So what I can do in the future is circle back and really start to use that as a marketing tool. So even if they didn't have a conversation with me, they connected with me on LinkedIn. And they've seen who I am, they've seen my profile. So when that email comes in, or that direct mailer goes out, they're going to recognize the name and everything like that. So it's just building for the future. I think, the future in our business is the size of your database, really. How many people you can get in touch with, and how many people you're in front of on a daily basis. So.
Yeah, I love everything you're saying here. So first of all, Nick threw out a couple of things there. I just want to clarify. Advisorlink is our proprietary system. So we don't sell it or anything. It's only for clients. So that's how he's getting these names and these email addresses, and how we're transporting it. So if you do want to learn anything about that, I think we got our free audit in there. We can kind of talk to one of our coaches, meet with Advisorist.com. That'd be the way you get to learn a little bit more about that and how you can start building your own database. And specifically, Nick, I think you're thinking ahead, which is so important, because everyone out there, think about the change we've seen in the last 14 months, right? Unbelievable change in the world, in the industry, everything, the way things are going, and technology is just accelerating this. So I think you're way ahead of the curve there, and that's tremendous. I think the other really interesting thing about, we've talked about this before, and you mentioned this, is you said your business is now nationwide. It's not just in your town of Minneapolis, right? I'm sorry, you're in Minnesota, you're Rochester, Minnesota. In Minnesota, it's not just your town anymore. You'll be able to expand your practice.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think it's just a matter of, we always hear in our business, and it's kind of a cliche, but it's a numbers game, right? So, I'm reaching people that I would have never reached before directly through this program. So far this year, I would say only a few, 2 or 3 clients have actually come from Minnesota. Everybody else that I've had as new clients has come from out of state, and generally outside the Midwest. So, it's really had a huge impact on my business, that I'm reaching the people I want to reach, but it no longer matters, state lines or your geography or anything like that. So it's been huge for me.
Yeah, and I think that's another. And that's again. I hope show Nick some love in the chat here, because that's a huge tip for everybody. The things we're talking about here allow you to create a well-defined message to a very defined niche market, and go directly where they are broad, right, across the U.S. in just that narrow market that you might have been focused in before, right? It's a smaller pool, bigger pool. Now your message is able to break through all that noise, all that clutter that's out there. So great stuff. Appreciate that, Nick. Let's get into the virtual practice a little bit more, because I think this is where, if you're not there, I know there's probably a lot of people that were like you, Nick, that are reluctant or hoping things get back to normal and start meeting face to face. I don't think things will ever go 100% back to normal. I think this is a new normal moving forward. But speaking on that, you gave me a couple stats. So you said you went from about 10% of virtual appointments to over 80%. So you're moving to a virtual.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't remember in the last 6 months the last time I took a piece of business face to face. Just with the carriers and the technology in this program, everything can be done completely virtual and much more efficiently. And I think the population in general is becoming more and more open to doing business virtually. So, but yeah, if you would ask me a year ago, if 80% of my business would be coming from a Zoom link, I would have said you're nuts. But here we are today. So,
Absolutely, that's awesome. So, how many appointments do you average off the program right now?
So right now I'm averaging about 5 new, what I call virtual intro coffee chats per week.
Okay.
And then, stacking that on top of, follow-up meetings and things like that. So the shift program itself is generating probably between 5 and 10 between first, second, and third appointments on a weekly basis for me.
That's awesome. Awesome. So tell us where you were last week, Nick.
Yeah, so I was down in Southwest Florida, having some cocktails, sitting on the beach, doing some boating, having a good time with my wife and some friends. So, and the nice thing is, business continued to run. So it was a sweet experience.
All right. So I'm going to show them your calendars. How many appointments did you set last week sitting on the beach?
7 of them came through last week between Monday and Thursday last week.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So here's Nick's calendar coming up. So all the virtual, how you have our coaching in here. So it's another great thing. You're obviously taking advantage of our coaching. So we appreciate that. Love having you as part of that program. So virtual meeting. It looks like you got your kids, sports as well. I know they're heavy into hockey, but all these virtual meetings coming up. So this is the next 2 weeks. Tremendous, man. This is awesome stuff. I'm happy for you, especially from our first conversations to where you've come to now. So this is great. So of these calls, right, 85% of them you're transitioning to a second call.
Yep.
And tell us a little bit about how that first call goes.
Yeah. So on the first call, when we get on the initial call, it's kind of just exchanging the pleasantries, how you doing? Thanks for taking the time. Yeah. How's the weather? Yada, 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 for the first few seconds. But the first question I ask every single person that I get on the call with, and again, I'm dealing with busy medical professionals. So what I say to every single person that I jump on the call with is that I work with successful medical professionals every single day. And I know that time is one of your most valuable resources. So what was it that made you want to invest 15 minutes to talk to me today? And then I just shut up and listen, and they go on and on and on. And I would say the vast majority of the appointment is just them responding to that one question. All right.
So again, buddy, Nick, give it to us again. Tell us again what you're doing, because I think 85% success rate is huge, right? And this is getting appointments is kind of the easy part of it. Transitioning, a lot of our members have trouble transitioning to that second call. So give us that line again for everybody listening, everyone taking notes. And then I want you to talk a little bit about how that first call goes, because I know you have a different approach there as well.
Sure. Yeah. So again, I understand that time is one of your most valuable resources. So what was it that made you want to invest 15 minutes to talk to me today?
And then what do you do?
So I just shut up and listen and start writing. So what I've found is that people will say, well, they kind of start off a little bit soft, and it really depends on the area of the country. So the Midwest, from where I'm from, a lot of people will be like, well, I just thought it would be nice to connect and expand my network. And I just don't say anything. I just give that awkward pause, and then they go, but, my other advisor just retired, or I'm looking to do this, and I was wondering if you could do that, or I had this bad experience, and they just go on and on and on. And I'm just writing down as fast as I can to keep up with them. And it's really, they give me all of the information I need to know what their triggers are within the first 10 minutes of meeting them, and they don't even know they're doing it.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's all. And that's the key, right? Letting them talk about themselves. One more trick that you do in between that first and that second meeting, there's something that you do as well. This is something we've heard, again, from multiple people we've showcased on here of the little trick that they're using to convert a lot of those appointments moving forward.
Yep. So that's kind of how I start the appointment, then I finish it. Usually we finish it by them asking, so exactly what is it that you do? So I give a very brief information, just enough to kind of give them an idea of what I do. And then I request that second appointment to go into more detail on what I do and how I might be able to bring value to their situation. And then after that appointment is completed, I send them a follow-up, like thanking them for the initial meeting, and I use Loom and just do a quick video message, hey, thanks for taking the time. Looking forward to, our next meeting, put the date in there. I got one of the cool little whiteboards that I write onto with their name. That's been huge, that virtual or that video message, I think can be directly correlated to the success of the additional appointments.
Yeah, and I just want to commend you again, and everybody watching. I mean, this is the execution we talk about. All these tips, right, are things that you've heard on Power Hours. I know that, right? The whiteboard, Jeremiah taught that. We've talked about Loom videos. But you're executing, you're putting into place, and just knocking it out of the park. So thank you for being such an exemplary student and member of our family here at Advisorist and the Shift Nation. But can I read these stats that you gave me about your business that you've generated so far off the program?
Yeah, sure.
So you're just over 5 months into the program, and so far this year off the program, you've generated 4,100 life insurance premiums.
41,000.
I'm sorry.
41,000.
Oh, I missed another. Sorry, 41,000. Another 5,500, 5,500 of DI premiums, and 600 million, right, in AUM, or 600,000.
Yeah, if you can figure out a way to do 600 million, I'll give you a kickback there.
So 600,000 in AUM. So just killing. That's off those 5 appointments that you're getting. And
yeah, and actually, I'm going to stop you there real quick, Chris, because I just closed another $21,000 life insurance case this morning off the program too. So yeah.
Man. So 62,000 life insurance. That's awesome, man. 5 months. You and I have had this conversation. So, and this was a while ago when I asked you. So I'd like to hear your I think it was probably back January, February, about the success you kind of had out of the gates. What do you think this does to your practice long term? And in the first 5 months, if you're doing this, do you see that accelerating as you start building that database, or do you see it?
I think it's just going to do nothing but go up. When I got into the program initially, I went in thinking that, it's going to be a lot of work for the first several months. I'll probably generate a few appointments here and there. But what I was really looking at is 6 months into it is where I'd start to see results. And so I've just been blown away with the results that I've had during the first 5 months. So I'm really excited to see what happens the second half of the year. I still think that I'm just getting started and I'm still learning and tweaking things to make them better. So I don't think it's flowing full steam yet. So I'm excited to see what happens once things keep rolling on. Yeah,
I mean, so and I'm looking over my notes here because we talked about 1 publication, but you're now in 4 publications you've got out of this, right? 4 separate financial publications that you're now publishing in.
Yep.
On a consistent basis with at least 1, right?
Yeah, so the one that you kind of brought up, they've asked me to do a quarterly article to post to their site. So the article that you already shared, but then I've been taking advantage of another one of the secrets that I learned through the program, which is the Help a Reporter Out program. And I do that daily. So I respond anytime there's a topic that relates to my expertise. I reply on a daily basis. Again, I went 3 months of doing this 3 times a day without a single response. So, but as you guys teach, it's just consistency. It's not going to change overnight. In the last 2 weeks, I was featured in Money Magazine, Market Watch, and then a few other publications that aren't as widely known. So we have 4 different publications in the last 2 weeks.
Some big names too. That's tremendous. So, man, I just love everything about this. How long did it take you to get any results? What was that period?
1 week.
I'm sorry. What you said you did something for 3 months.
Oh, with Haro, yeah. So yeah, it was 3 months of replying to the things that come out daily before I.
Right. I think that's the key, right? I mean, you had success out of the gates in some aspects, but you also worked on the others, and I think that's for anybody. I mean, 3 months is kind of that magic number. That 3 to 6 months. We always tell people the first 3 months is kind of just planting the seeds. 3 to 6 months is where it really starts to take hold. The 6 months. That's why I'm excited for your next 6 months, because that's why I don't think. Things don't continue with this. They compound and accelerate as far as growth and numbers. I mean, all of those things. So I'm excited for what you're going to be doing with this. You said something else that was interesting in our chats was you said this is a 24/7 prospecting system, right? So this program now allows you to be on the beach. It's working 24/7 in the background, and you're getting opportunity.
Yeah. So, with the program, obviously you're able to, dictate when your messages are going out. But how I look at it is that if a message goes out at noon today, that person might read it at 2 a.m, when they're just kind of winding down for the day, or they might read it, 4 or 5, 6 days from now. So every single message that's going out is a constant marketing machine for you. And you're always going to be in front of somebody when you wouldn't normally be able to do that on your own. So no matter what I'm doing, I'm talking to people, whether it's me directly or the program. So yeah, it's 24/7. Appointments are getting booked, messages are, being responded to. And I've got it down to, I log into the system about an hour in the morning and then an hour and a half in the afternoon, and just keep up with my messages and my tracking and things like that. But otherwise it's on autopilot. So it's basically 2 hours a day that's taken out to be generating the activity that I need. So
that's awesome, man. So we had a good question come in from a Facebook. First, we get some love here. So keep sending Nick love. Amazing action taker, amazing results. So all the stuff that you're doing, keep it up. We had a question come through. I thought this was good. So we had someone that has a self-limiting belief that in order to grow their practice, they need relationships and they need to meet face to face. And you're showing us that's not the case. So I think there's a lot of people watching that have these self-limiting beliefs. And I want that, and I have a follow-up question. Well, what would you say to the people that are out there saying, man, I face to face, it's the only way to do it. It's the only way to build relationships. And obviously you've done it differently.
Yeah, and I would say that I was that exact same person, before I joined the program, that I, because you get the few people that give you feedback that I would never do anything virtually. So you take that one person that told you that and you think that everybody thinks the same way. But what I would say is that I've developed some really, really good relationships through the program and never have met that person face to face. I've connected professionals just through happenstance that I was talking to somebody, and then a week later I'm talking to somebody else. I connected 2 surgeons that were looking to go into private practice. And I said, hey, I just talked to this guy that was looking to do this too. Can I give him your name? They connected. So it's not necessarily always just generating business, but it is building those relationships, because there's a lot of people that I talk to that don't do business with me, but that doesn't mean they're never going to hear from me again. We'll just continue to build on those relationships and that database and everything like that. So
I think, you guys, you're dropping gold after gold after gold here, right? I mean, that's the thing. There's so much value that comes from this, and just the ability to. So, and that self-limiting belief is only allowing you to meet one-to-one, right? I mean, Nick, all of the stuff that you're doing is happening in the background without you doing anything, and then you're just having those conversations as people present themselves, which is huge from a time perspective, and just from a ability to know who you're talking to even before you invest the time to learning who you're talking to.
Yeah, I think I'd take it a step further and say that it helps from the mental aspect too, because I think anybody on this call that's been in this business for any period of time, you get completely drained when you're on the phone all day or meeting people all day and all you hear is no, 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 no. Well, the system's hearing that for me, so I don't really care, So when I get involved is when somebody says yes. So it's basically on a regular basis, I'm only dealing with all the yeses that are coming through. So from a psyche standpoint, it's not as emotional draining on you by hearing all those no's and the hang-ups or all of that stuff that we've all gone through.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's another self-limiting belief. I think you wrote something as well. It says you get a lot of people telling you it wasn't a good time or they have an advisor. I feel like I always tell people these are leads. These are great leads. It's just the timing's not right. That's the only thing. But you said you're based off the templates we provided through the program, you're converting a lot of those to appointments still. Can you share a little bit about that and what you're seeing there?
Yeah, I think, in the past, when I would hear somebody say, I'm already working with an advisor or, follow up with me in 2 or 3 weeks or whatever it may be, that there was no system in place to actually get those things done, right? So as I already have an advisor, okay, well, I don't want to deal with trying to convince you otherwise, or follow up in 3 weeks. Well, 3 weeks goes by and I forgot to call you up, and all of those things. So what the program has allowed me to do is it develop the messaging templates. So when people say that, I have responses set for those particular responses. And now that I have these articles published, I can reference those. So somebody says, I already have an advisor, that's great. I'm glad that you take your finances seriously. Here, check out an article I recently wrote. Here's a link to it. If you'd like to discuss further, here's a link to my calendar. And those people are saying, oh, I read that article. Yeah, I never thought of that. Here, we'll book an appointment with you. Or somebody says, I'm in the middle of a transition to a new job, follow up in 2 weeks. I say, I'll put a reminder to follow up in 2 weeks, but in the meantime, here's a link to my calendar so you can find a time that's convenient for you. Yep. And they're taking the initiative to set the appointment. And then if I go that 2 weeks and they're not in my calendar, at that point, then I follow up with them just because of the systems that are in place now. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Again, taking action, right? Implementing what he's taught. And just Nick, again, kudos, man. Keep it up. Hope everyone is getting, and I know we got a lazy weekend coming up, long weekend, but hope everyone's getting some action when you get back from it, because this is good. Now, Nick, obviously you're a believer in the program, right? You've had some success. You've referred, we're trying to figure out a handful of people, 5, 6 people to us from the success you've had, and so we appreciate that. Maybe can we talk? I'd like to dig a little bit deeper here. I love working with you. I love working with all the members of our program. Maybe share something, what was good about the program and what kind of differentiated it? Because again, going back to your original, a lot of people are sitting there having trouble taking that action. They're not sure it's the right thing. What was that struggle, and eventually why did you take that action, and what have you seen as the positives of that within the program?
Yeah, well, as far as why I originally took the action is I had a couple conversations with you, Chris, and it made sense that I needed to do something. And I did quite a bit of research and following you guys for a year. And I said, these are the guys that I want to put my money into and see how it goes. And then when I jumped into it, I was just really blown away at the amount of personal attention, building my profile out. Basically, you guys did everything that you said you were going to do. So I've done programs in the past, not necessarily LinkedIn, but just, if you sign up you're going to get this bullet list of things and you get 1 or 2 of them. And I can't go back and think of anything that I was told that I was going to get out of the program that hasn't been executed just as it was said. And, a lot has evolved since I started in the space. So all these additions, you keep us up to date on and things like that otherwise wouldn't have known about. So.
Yeah. So, I appreciate you saying that. And I just want to remind her, if you guys want to learn more and hear more, talk to us. There's no pressure. Just, see if it's the right fit for you. We want you to take action. I was an advisor struggling when I started, 5 years ago and had great success in it. Nick, you were trying to figure things out in this new world. All of our members have come to us trying to figure things out, whatever various, positions they were in their practice or phases they were. So again, the meetwithadvisorist.com, please just, check it out. Just listen to it. We'd love to work with you and help you. The coaching, I know you took advantage of the coaching. Again, I want to beat this a little bit because everything we asked you to do, you did. You showed up for the coaching. That's evolved. I think when you came on 2 hours a week of coaching, now we have over 8 or 9 hours of coaching a week. We're not asking you to come to that all the time, and you pick and choose what you talk about that for a moment, how that's helped kind of at the times you maybe were hitting roadblocks or needed some help kind of getting along.
Yeah. So, when I started, it was just once a week, and it was just as a whole group and everybody was on the different areas. So now the coaching is specific to where you are in the program, which definitely helped out. But what it is it's, you can jump on there and a lot of times the struggles that you might be having or the questions you may be having are the same as the other people that are doing the program. So the biggest thing that I get from jumping on those coaching calls is the nuggets from all of the other people going through the program. And, I'm always taking notes when other people are talking about their successes and trying to implement, those different things into my program as well. So the ability to go on there, no question's a dumb question type of thing, and, really fine tune the templates that you guys have set out and really be able to take full advantage of that and the expertise and experience. And you and Brianna have just been awesome on responding to any questions and building those things out for me. So
it's awesome. That's great, man. All right. Well, we're coming to an end here again. Just, jump on meetwithadvisors.com. You want to learn more about the program, how we can help you, the strategies. again, keep in the back of your mind that execution and implementing is the vital key to success here. So again, kudos for that. For those maybe that are sitting on the fence right now, what would you say to them just to kind of help them, kind of take a step in a direction, right? Even if it's not, setting up an appointment right now, why act? I mean, we have a couple comments. I saw one come in. Our days of meeting in person kind of going by the wayside. Things are starting to get to normal in some places, but we're still seeing virtual is here to stay, right? I mean, we're seeing all these things. So what do you say to somebody that's kind of sitting there? What should they do? Help them a little bit.
Well, I think that if you're not evolving in our business, you're dying, and you just have to keep up with the changes that are going on in our industry. So, you just have to kind of take a look at yourself and say, do I want to continue to grow? And I think if the answer is yes, then you're going to have to find out a process and a procedure to start to do these virtual meetings. And I don't think that necessarily means that you have to go away from, your traditional meetings, but it's just another way to generate volume and scale your business. I have clients that are in different states that say, hey, if you're ever in town, give me a call. We'll go out and, grab a steak or we'll grab a beer or something like that. So I think that you can build on the virtual relationships and really expand your network and continue the face-to-face as well. So I think it's just one aspect of the business. So if you want to still continue to meet face-to-face, still do that face-to-face, but use the virtual piece of it as just an addition to what you're currently doing. For me personally, I found out that I became more comfortable doing it virtual and started to transition my business more to that. And it's given me a lot more time back to do the other things that I want to do outside of work and not feel guilty about, leaving the office at 4 o'clock because I know there's still messages going out and appointments being booked. So,
yeah. All right, Nick. Well, you're killing it, man. Keep it up. Again, meet with Advisorist.com. Speak with one of our coaches. No pressure. Just a little chat. See if it's a good fit. Nick, any last words for everyone watching or anything like that?
No, I say anybody that's on the fence, it's been well worth my time and effort and money for the program. So I think, I can say with confidence that Advisorist is the real deal and everything that they promise, they deliver on. So.
Right. Well, I appreciate it, brother. I love working with you. Happy to work with anyone else. Please meet with Advisors. We want to keep this train going, keep this train moving. So we appreciate it. Everyone have a great long weekend. Thank you to those that have served or have made the ultimate sacrifice in their service. And have a great weekend. Thanks, Nick. Appreciate it, man.
All right. We'll see you guys.
All right. Thanks.